Davies in the middle. Checks back against Carter and scores. That is atypical for the Amina Margot.
Quickly gets it back again. Oh, what a goal! Well, that sums up her season. The Gunners are WSL champions.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Vic Akers Wonderland Podcast episode. I'm your host, Adam Salter, and tonight we're going to be previewing Liverpool versus Arsenal. It's a biggie. Revenge is on the cards. As we all know, Liverpool did bloody I know somewhat at the start of the season. So really looking forward to picking apart this one. And I'm joined once again by the magnificent Matt. The lovely Lottie can't make it, but fear not. The delightful Daisy Ruddock has dropped in to give us the Liverpool perspective of the argument. So first, Matt, looking forward to this one. It's for once it's a local Arsenal game.
Yeah, I always enjoy these games, not because they're local, but because they're very, very different in terms of development that you see between Liverpool, obviously coming up from the Championship, now trying to not just stabilise themselves in the WSL even, but looking to push on further, similar to what Aston Villa did last season, and it's very much like a fierce battle between these two whenever these two meet.
It is. I mean, we certainly saw that early in the season, and it wasn't a good one. Daisy, how are you going on? Are you looking forward to this one?
Yes, a bit of trepidation, but I'm hoping we can somehow manage to snaggle at least a point. But I was at the Emirates game, and it was probably one of the best games I've ever been to. So if it's even half as good as that, I'll be very happy.
If I'm pretty honest, I think me and Matt can agree it's one of the worst games we've ever been to. But not just because of the result, just because of the quality of what. I mean, it was defensively, Liverpool were amazing on the day, and the way they set up completely nullified Arsenal. And I remember watching it about 55 minutes in. I think it might have been after we'd gone 1-0 down, and looked and just thought, yeah, we're not scoring today. We're not scoring today, no matter what. Just we're done. And it was.
You had more faith than me because I was thinking, oh, Arsenal are going to put 5 past us now.
Well, I mean, I get that, and I could certainly, if the boot was never fit, when you're the defending team and you can see the talent off the bench, you're thinking, crikey, anything could happen. But just watching how predictable we were and how Liverpool just were able to stop every cross, fair play to them. We weren't at our best, and there are obviously circumstances around that in terms of the signings and obviously the injuries, players coming back. But thankfully, we have got players back, and that's something we're going to go over later on the pod. But firstly, a quick icebreaker. As I mentioned, this is an away trip for Arsenal going up to Liverpool, and whilst this is a local game for Matt, it is most certainly not a local game for me. Despite that, I am making the journey. This is probably the longest journey I've made for a WSL game. Certainly travel, I'm really looking forward to it. So the question for the pair of you is, what is the furthest you've travelled for a WSL game? And I'll start with our guest, Daisy. I mean, you said you travelled to Arsenal. Have you gone further, Brighton or maybe more further?
I think that'll have to be, I mean, technically, yeah, that would have to be the longest I travelled. For a women's game, I've gone to Wembley, so I don't know whether that's a little bit further south, but the Emirates is definitely the longest I've been to. Yeah,
I mean, I'm keeping it WSL because I mean, I could say Champions League and then just say, I went to Juventus and Bayern, but same with WSL. Yeah, I can understand that. Matt, I mean, obviously you've come down for a few Arsenal games at the Emirates Stadium. Yeah. Any other big journeys you've had to go
on? No, I'm just looking back on some of the games that I've done in the past. Most of them have been fairly local: United, City, Everton, Villa, and Birmingham as well. I would probably say, besides that, I'll probably say West Ham doing the game against Dagenham Redbridge at Dagenham Redbridge ground last day of the season. That was probably one. Actually, I would say that one was probably the longest one, not because of how far in terms of length, but just getting down. And
it's quite fast.
The whole day as well.
Should also add, if you include the Conti Cup, you of course did come down to Southampton as well. We should throw that one in as well. I'm really looking forward to this one, a proper away trip. Arsenal have hooked me in I did the both Conti Cup away trips, and I've now decided I'm going to commit to doing some away games, and I'm really looking forward to this one. And from what I understand, the ticket sales have been strong. We keep selling out our away allocation. I think 300 more tickets have been allocated to it. I am assuming the home support is going to be strong. Because Daisy, if I'm assuming that would be the case, there's a lot of tickets sold at your end, I'm assuming.
I think this one will obviously be one of the highest attendances of the season, although it's not always massive for such a big club. So
no, I mean, I do hope Liverpool's a very passionate club, and I do hope we can get both teams can bring a good crowd along, because the players certainly warrant it. So moving on to the news, and boy, has there been news. So firstly, Gio has finally been loaned out. She has gone to Madrid CFF. They're currently fourth in the Liga F, tied on points with Real Madrid. Matt, good move for her, finally getting some game time.
Yes, and it's one where she's going to know the setup and everything around the side. So essentially, for those that don't know, she actually started her career at Madrid CFF, and it's just going to be a good way to get her confidence back up. I mean, just put it out there, essentially, she's been told that she's not in Jonas's plans, and she needs to find somewhere that she was going to get game time.
Well, when you say Jonas's plans, do you mean as in like currently, or as in like permanently?
I would say currently, because I don't think anything's permanent in football. We've seen that with last year with the ACL injuries, and I mean, it could be this in this. We've also seen it recently with Everton as well, with two recent retirees in Nico Sorensen and the other names forget. I think Ricky Sveka. Being diagnosed with a heart issue. Nothing is permanent in football, and that's the one thing you have to always think about. So for the next 6 months, it's important that Gio gets game time. So she might even be looking at going to the Olympics, or even so that's going to be on her mind as well. Get a good game time. Hopefully that might change things around a little bit as well. I think that she will hopefully do well, and hopefully she comes back, because it's a bit unfair. She's only had, I think it's not 3 or 4 appearances, and she hasn't scored yet. Whereas she was at Everton, 12 appearances, 1 goal. I think she will come back, but you never know what's going to happen around the summer.
Problem with Felicia, I think she has a talent. She's a young, talented player. I think she's quite raw, and unfortunately, at the moment, with the teams at the moment, we can't accommodate her. You're right; she hasn't got a goal. I think she got an assist against Leeds. Did obviously score for Spurs at Everton. I think there is a talent there. I hope that we can keep her around long enough, like with Katrine Mollakul, so that when she's ready and there's a space in the team for her. So we'll see what happens there. If we're talking departures, we should, as Daisy said, we should acknowledge that Natasha Flint has gone to Celtic. Just tell us, for those who don't know, who she is, how good she is, and maybe why this has happened.
Yeah, so she actually only came to us in the summer, so she's not been around for long. I was actually really excited about her signing. I thought she was a really good player, came from Leicester, but it hasn't quite clicked for her. I think I thought that maybe she'd be our starting striker, but she was definitely more comfortable with like a place on the bench, from Matt Beard's point of view, obviously. She scored a great goal against Villa. I kind of thought she might kick on from there, but she's just not got the game time. I don't know how well she's settled in, but yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how she does at Celtic and whether she comes back.
Yeah, no, well, wish her all the best with that one. Few other signings have been made. Obviously, Chelsea record signing for Maya Ramirez. We did wonder how they were going to react to Sam Kerr sadly having the ACL injury, and they've gone, as we in Chelsea style, just splashed out big on a very talented striker from Levante, who have are in major trouble at the moment financially. So this is kind of a bit of a payday to fill that black hole. Record fee, for a striker. Matt, I think if she settles well, that's Chelsea back in the game. It's hard to, once they're out of the game, but if she picks up quickly, that should put Chelsea in pole position for the title.
You'd imagine so, but it seems a bit like mind games that has come from Emma Hayes. And at 1 minute, we don't need a striker to. Okay, we definitely need a striker, and we need to do this quickly. Let's see what's around. Apart from seeing her at the World Cup, there's not really much to really tell about because Levante missed out on the Champions League, and there was the big issue of not being able to see a lot of those games. So I'd like to see what she's like, and I think we will see her this weekend.
She's already in training. The pictures have dropped of her in training, so I think the Brighton game could well be her debut. So I'm very excited to see how she plays. We should remember when Sam Kerr came in halfway through the season. I remember when she came in, she did struggle with those early sort of few weeks acclimatising to the pace, although she did score against us as well, which was rather annoying. If she settles quickly, Chelsea should be all right. But if she doesn't, well, we'll see. On ticket-wise, a big load of news has come out. The game at Stamford Bridge with Arsenal-Chelsea, they've hit 10,000 tickets. Arsenal Spurs, if you're looking forward to that one, Emirates Stadium, just be aware it has moved to 12 p.m. kickoff once again for us. That's now Chelsea, Man United and Spurs, all 12:30 kickoffs. Thank you very much. Barclays WSL for that, much appreciated. Should add 38,000 tickets sold, still plenty left. Please get your ticket. In other ticket nonsense, our FA Cup tie against Man City, tickets are sort of on hold at the moment because the system crashed. Such was the demand. This is how massive Arsenal are. Such was the demand for tickets for our game at Meadow Park against Man City. The computer couldn't take it, and so they're on hold until Monday next week. So make sure if you're a season ticket holder, remember that this is not covered in your season ticket. You have to buy one. But my guess is that they're going to go very, very quickly. So, do get in as quick as you can. Want to quickly tap on, there was a birthday, and there was two birthdays we should acknowledge. Firstly, Steph Catley, who has a left foot like Messi. Matt, many happy returns, 30 years old.
You do look at some of the players, and when you look at her age, you don't think not to be like the very male thing to say, oh, you don't look anything like the 30. You always get us younger.
I can't believe she's the same age as me. This is what I feel like such a failure. I think, crikey.
Yeah, it feels really weird that I'm younger than Steph Catley, and I thought the way she plays, you think she's 25 or 24. You don't think that she's that old, but I have to believe the expression is wise words on young shoulders. I think that's it. I don't know, but yeah, Steph's been wonderful for us, and
she has been superb and really made the left back slot her own. And she's can score a few crackers from her left foot as well, which is good to see. On the Liverpool side, very recently was, of course, not just a Liverpool legend, but a WSL legend in Farrah Williams. Was there at Liverpool for a few years, and also with Arsenal as well. Won the FA Cup with us back in 2016. Her time at Liverpool days, if you remember, what was it she achieved at the club, and how big a player was she for Liverpool when she was there?
Oh, she was huge. I mean, just in the game, she was one of the names that people know, isn't it? And she did win the title with us, so that I think that automatically cements you as a club legend, to be honest.
Absolutely, and then there was a clip the Liverpool Twitter feed put on their Twitter feed, scoring from the halfway line. I think it was from the kick. I think Liverpool had just conceded a goal to Birmingham, and Farrah had spotted the keepers off our line and promptly chipped her from the halfway line. She just had that talent, that knowledge. Absolute legend of the game, and now she's obviously doing cracking work as a pundit. So many happy returns to both Steph Catley and Farrah Williams. Last mention, and this is more because obviously Deja on the show, I know this is a women's podcast, but on the men's side, massive news that Jurgen Klopp has stood down. Well, he's going to stand at the end of the season, I believe. His energy banks for a man that was so energetic and so passionate, has conceded that the tank is dry and he can't do this anymore. So, I mean, fair play to the man for, knowing when the time is right. But maybe just a word on what he was like for you. Obviously, he was a supporter of both Liverpools. When him, and maybe how he impacted the women's side as well.
I mean, he's just my favourite person to ever be associated with the club. I think every Liverpool fan will say the same. He's just brilliant. We absolutely love him, and it was such a shock today. I feel like I'm in a period of mourning at the moment. I'm not sure when I'll get over it. But in terms of the women's side, I kind of wish there was more of a connection between the men's and women's side, especially in his early years. Not for his fault at all, but in the last couple of years, definitely it has improved. I remember him giving Rachel Furness her BBC award at one point, and
Brilliant.
He did a really good interview with Michaela Moore as well. A Pride interview, if I remember. So he's obviously been really supportive, and I think the whole club's going to miss him from both sides.
It's very rare when you get such a figure that charisma, just sort of the way he sort of commands presence, and he's just such. Because some managers are quite, I don't want to say they're nasty, but they're so competitive that they have this sort of nastiness on the touchline. But for Klopp, it's always been pleasantry. It's always been positivity and love, and the Premier League will be a poorer place in his absence. So obviously wish him all the best, and I suppose the hunt starts for a new manager. Best of luck to Liverpool on that. Moving back to women's football, the Conti Cup group stage ended this midweek. Lots of interesting results came up, but the big news is that Aston Villa have somehow shot themselves in the foot. They had probably one of the easiest groups to navigate, a group full of championship clubs, and navigate, despite their poor form in WSL, navigate their group with ease. They did, winning all their games, including a 7-0 thumping of Sunderland right at the end. So everything was fine, apart from the fact that they decided to play Noah Marriott, recently signed from Arsenal, in the second half, a sub that was completely pointless, and even worse, she was cup tied. So they're now down to going to a tribunal to find out if they get disqualified from the competition, or if the game is 3 points instead given to Sunderland, like a 3-0 walkover. So that's happening as well. Now, there are two big ramifications of this. Firstly, the Conti Cup draw, which is going to be happening live on the BBC, was meant to have happened at the time of this recording about 25 minutes ago. And the plan for me was to delay the recording of this pod until we found out the draw. The draw will now happen on Monday whilst the FA determine what to do, because the Conti Cup has a very confusing way of determining who are I think it's top two runners-up. They do it on points per game. So the impact of this result has connotations where it could potentially knock out Manchester United from the group stage. So, Daisy, another farce for the Conti Cup. It's not good that somehow Aston Villa have managed to do this.
I mean, I honestly don't understand how that can happen from a club of that size. I mean, surely someone's looked into it, but beyond that, from a Liverpool perspective, it would obviously be quite funny for me if Man United were the ones who kind of bore the brunt of that. But from a footballing perspective, you do have to feel for them, because that is a shocking mistake.
It's a clanger. I mean, we should say there's been I think last weekend we had the clanger of Arsenal scheduling a game that couldn't be watched by anybody on the FA player, and we thought, okay, well, that's the end of the admin errors in our league. Not so, it would seem. I should say that Villa aren't the only ones to fall foul of this. In fact, Carla Ward has actually a track record of this, because she played, I think it was Rusha Littlejohn for Birmingham a few seasons ago, and I think she was meant to have served a suspension at the time, and I can't remember if it was a points deduction, I think, or they got fined. So it's not the first time. I'm not saying this is Carla Ward's fault, but Carla Ward has been managed a team that has made this kind of error. And hold our hands up, Arsenal have done the same as well in the season when Liverpool did win their first league title. Arsenal got a points deduction for fielding a player that was ineligible due to a paperwork cock-up. So it does happen. We've fallen foul of it. We're no angels, but I mean, for something like this, and let's say the ramifications, it's going to be a very interesting weekend to see how the FA judge this. And the draw, as I say, will now be Monday, 6:30, live on the BBC. I think it's going to be a news channel, and Rachel Brown-Finnis will be doing the draw. On the plus side, Arsenal are through. 6-0 win at the Select Car Leasing Stadium against Reading. Ford with a goal. Leah Cadena, first goal for the Arsenal. Beth Mead with wonder volley. Stina with her first hat-trick for the Arsenal. But the big news, the big news is Leah Williamson is back on the pitch, Matt. That's the third ACL we got back.
Yeah, and it just makes it a little bit more good news because we've seen there's a little bit of a photo now of Laura actually out on the pitch doing a little bit of running. So it's all feeling like the grass is greener on this side of the season now, heading towards that sort of summer feel towards the end that we're getting. Everything seems to be feeling a lot better around the club. Like it's not like a feeling like a miserable midweek January where it's like freezing and cold, bitter winds and it's snowing and all sorts.
No snow at London Colney this time around. No frozen pictures to be seen.
No, and I think when we were doing these the predictions earlier in the season, we were predicting that because of these players coming back, but it's going to be a huge impact. I mean, you look at Kim Little as well, who also came back last night as well, 300th game for the club as well. It's a huge thing to have because you look into this game coming up. It is going to be a tasty one because it gives you a little bit more of an edge. Okay, we're close to a full team now. We're one step closer. Obviously, we don't know what's happening with Lena Hersik. We haven't been given a timeline. I don't think we will.
So Jonas did reference that in his press conference and sort of explain about the injury struggle she's happening, how frustrating that is as a footballer that you just cannot make an impact on the team because you get one game in and then your back goes or your hamstring goes, your ankle goes, just cannot stay fit, and that's a real shame from Lena Hurtig. Should add just Laura Veenreuter and Taya Goldie, I think, who are on the ACL front. So hopefully they can make a recovery soon. And massive congratulations to Kim Little, 300 appearances for the Arsenal. I mean, Matt, when's the statue coming out?
Oddly enough, you would have probably imagined that Kim would have got the statue before Viv did. But it's just how it goes, doesn't it? If I'm honest, I wouldn't be surprised if we end up having a couple of statues at the last game of the season, rolling out Viv's one, couple more. I mean, it was originally done by Adidas. I wouldn't be surprised if Adidas had a few more. I mean, Lessa Russo's now with the club. Whether or not she deserves a statue because of she'd only been at the club for less than a season is another matter. But there's plenty of players out there that you could probably say, yeah, we'll give them a statue, but they are doing the banners as well. So it's not just.
I've seen that, and I'm looking forward to it. So outside the Emirates Stadium, hopefully this is not just a prep for the Man United game, but permanently they are hanging out banners of the women's team, and that's really good to see. I'll just flip this question to you, Daisy, from an Liverpool perspective. If you could pick one player from Liverpool's history to have a statue outside Anfield, I mean, I've got a few ideas, but who would you have?
I mean, it's got to be Gemma Bonner, really, doesn't it?
That's the exact player I was thinking of.
I mean, captain that's won 2 league titles. I mean, you can't get it. And that's come back and been this good. Unbelievable.
Absolutely.
I'm building myself.
No, I was going to say Gemma Bonner was the one, and I know there was a lot of Gemma Bonner discourse on the Twitter sphere very recently. So I understand that she's a player. I think she was captain, she left, and then she came back again, and she's obviously is she the captain now? Is she?
No, it's Niamh Fahey at the moment.
Niamh Fahey is the captain. A player much loved by the Liverpool faithful, and absolutely, she's I think definitely deserves a statue. We'll just. There's not much to really pick apart on the game. It was 6-0 win. I mean, I was there in the ground, and to be frank, it was no competition. I mean, Reading, I feel so sorry for them because they are treading the path that obviously, as you know, Liverpool have. They've been relegated downwards. The club's taken off the ball. Unfortunately, unlike Liverpool, Reading have got wretched owners running the club into the ground. There was actually a protest, 16th minute protest, where we joined in with the Reading fans in an applause to obviously the men on the men's side, where the game was stopped after 60 minutes due to fan protests. I really hope that club can get their ownership sorted, get new owners in who actually respect not just obviously the men's team, but the women's team as well, and give the club the investment it deserves. But as for the game, I mean, it was good to see some goals, Matt. It was good to see us take some chances. Stina, first hat-trick for the Arsenal, and a nice wonder volley from Beth Mead. I mean, we topped the group, but I don't think the result was ever in doubt, was it?
No, I think there was more of a let's wait and see what happens with the Tottenham Southampton game, because potentially one of those would have been going through. So
yeah, I think Spurs were always going to, when it wasn't going to be at St Mary's. I did think Spurs would do it.
It was at Eastleigh, and they don't really know how to play at the Silver Lake Stadium, that Southampton team. No offense to the Southampton team, but it's just new territory, new ground. You don't know what's going to happen. Tottenham are very used to small grounds, Leyton Orient, the Hive.
But for Arsenal,
let's go back to us.
Yeah, Arsenal, it was a good performance all round, and obviously, yeah, Stina hat-trick and the first goal for Lea Cadena. She struggled to actually get some game minutes, so that'll do a world of confidence.
Yeah, 100%. And on top of that, we got a clean sheet as well. So
yes, Sab's first clean sheet of the season. I mean, what a monumental moment that was.
Yes.
We've struggled to convince in the Conti Cup because we've been so rotated, obviously in the three games. This is the first sort of convincing win we've had, and we know that we've struggled to take our chances recently, and we're going to need to take them because Liverpool, I think, defensively are going to be a massive step up. So a good
just quickly on that Leah Williamson assist for Beth Mead.
Yeah. Yes.
How good was that when you were watching it live?
It was superb, except I thought it was offside. So just for people to know where we were sat near the dugout, so near the halfway line. So Leah was literally right in front of us, and she pings the ball. And I'm looking to where it's going, and I'm seeing Mead. I'm thinking, well, I admit I didn't see the start of her run, but she looked offside. And so I sort of was waiting for the whistle, and it didn't happen. And then, the execution of the volley, it looked like keeper sort of lost her balance. It looked like she sort of stumbled backwards. She didn't really jump for it, but the lob volley was superb, and it capped an amazing evening. We should say with Leah. I mean, every touch on the ball was cheered. Every pass was applauded, and then having what I would say is a trademark Leah Williamson ball. I mean, that ping that she can do to behind the forwards. It's something Arsenal, you think we've missed that. That's what we've missed in our team. We do a lot of good stuff, but sometimes you just need somebody who can just ping a ball, and find a player running onto it. And I mean, I don't know if she's going to be fit for the Liverpool game. Maybe it'll be another bench appearance off the bench, but it's really good to see. And obviously a great goal from Beth Mead. Speaking of the game, there is a game that's happening on the Sunday, 4:30, live on Sky Premier League and main event. So there's no excuse to miss out on it, if you are a Sky subscriber, of course. So Liverpool, one of the few teams to beat us in the league this season. And yes, it still hurts, but I think they are a team that everyone has underestimated this season. I think last season, they did okay. I think this season, I wrote after you went 1-0 up against Man City, went a bit wrong after that, but you're basically this season's Aston Villa, this team that's going to surprise everyone. So I was going to say, Daisy, could you maybe tell us about the women's team, not just this season, but as a whole, how far you've been following them, and maybe, enlighten us on their history, successful history, we should add, within the WSL.
Yeah. I've been following them for a long time now. I think my first actual live game that I saw was in 2015. But it's been a strange few years. I think the relegation in the COVID season, I think that really just drove it home as to how much the team had been mismanaged, considering the men's team were winning the title that year. I think it was just, you could see that they just weren't investing enough. But in their credit, the club have actually put a lot more into them since then. We obviously got promoted on our second try from the Championship, and we really deserved it. And now you can see the progress year on year. At the start of last season, we could barely pass a ball. Like we felt very overwhelmed, I think, being in the top division again. But now I wouldn't even be surprised with us taking points off anybody on our day.
We should add that you did beat Chelsea at Prenton Park last season. That was and Matt was there for that one. That was you weren't overawed on that one.
That is true. Although that felt like more of a really weird game, in that Chelsea should have absolutely demolished us. We got 2 penalties from 2 attacks. Whereas the Arsenal and Man United games this year, I think they were different gravy. They were unbelievable. I think deserved results. But yeah, I think Matt Beard has helped a lot. He was the manager that won us the 2 league titles, successive league titles back in the day. And I think also Melwood has helped. We've got like a brand new training ground. Basically, the old men's ground is now for the women's.
Yes, I was just want to get onto one, if you can, about some of the behind the scenes stuff. So there was a lot of art around the time they got relegated, which I believe was done by PPG. It wasn't actually it wasn't the full season. So like just so people know, like that season, Man City were top of the league, but Chelsea won the league on PPG because they had a game in hand. It was utter nonsense, and Liverpool got relegated through this manner, and I think they were quite close. I think it was to was it Bristol or Birmingham at the time. So they got really badly screwed over. Although in fairness, they were a team, I think, that were heading that way, regardless. And there were stories about the accommodation for players wasn't great, that the training facilities wasn't great, the pitch was always awful. And I think that they finally got the pitch. So I think it's Tranmere Rovers ground, isn't it? I think they finally got it at the pitch relay. But I remember constantly, the pitch is waterlogged, the pitch is frozen, the game's been cancelled. And I think when they revealed the new training centre for the men's team, there was a big commotion that the women's team aren't going to train there. So yeah, just maybe lighting that. How has that all sort of turned around with Liverpool now?
It is a lot better. It's not perfect, obviously. I think you do see teams like Arsenal who have done a really good kind of one club marketing thing, and I think we need to do a little bit more with that to combine the men's and women's teams. But Melwood was huge, and I think almost getting relegated kind of, it wasn't a blessing in disguise, but we made the most of it in that we brought Matt Beard in, who's a legend here, and I think a really good manager. And I think now that we've been promoted, it's a shame that we lost out on 2 years of growth when women's football was so big. Yeah. After the Euros, especially. I mean, it was a shame that we were in the Championship for that, so we maybe didn't get as much from it as other teams did, like Man United. But other than that, yeah, it's been a really good time to be supporting Liverpool the last 2 years, I would say.
Could just add, because obviously the games are played at Prenton Park at Tranmere Rovers, but some games, the Merseyside derbies, for example, are being played at Anfield. And no offence, I don't think you've won one yet at Anfield, but what are the chances of more games being played there? Just Arsenal, for example, they've just announced that Leicester City, their second to last home game, is now going to play at Emirates Stadium, among all the other ones, including obviously when you came to town. We're not playing at Anfield, sadly, but do you foresee maybe them expanding the Anfield roster anytime soon?
I don't think so, just because the attendances haven't been incredible, like nothing on like the kind of Arsenal standards where you need if you want big games to be played at the big stadiums. And I do think the club is a little bit behind in the one club thing, as I say. It's just little things like the women's team and the men's team social media is so completely separate. And I almost think like if you just advertise things on the men's side, which has millions of followers, you could almost bring that up. I remember one thing was, Taylor Swift's coming to Anfield, and they said all season ticket holders will be allocated this ballot for Taylor Swift tickets. So I messaged and said, "Oh, I'm a season ticket holder. Why have I not received this email?" And they said, "Oh, men's team only." Like, because it's.
See, this is madness, because anybody who knows the women's football fandom, it's like a Venn diagram. It's like your women's football fan. You are also, apart from me, obviously, you're a Taylor Swift fan. Usually, you fall into both. It's she is massive. I mean, I'm just imagining it. If Arsenal did that Emirates Stadium, and they said to the entire women's football fan base, your season ticket isn't valid for a free Taylor Swift ticket, there would be like a massive meltdown. So thank God she hasn't decided to tour there. That is a shame to hear, because I think maybe sometimes Arsenal, we pride ourselves, maybe arrogantly, but we do try and say things. We take the lead on a lot of things and trying to raise standards. Although that pales into comparison to what, let's say, Barcelona are doing with their women's team. I think maybe take for granted that other teams don't do that. I mean, I was watching some FA Cup ties and seeing and I was at the Reading game as well, seeing 3 stands in the stadium empty, and you just think, come on, you've got a massive stadium here, got a massive fan base. Arsenal, we mentioned earlier, are going to bring a huge contingent to Liverpool. I'm really fascinated to see how much sells that stadium. Hopefully it's a good crowd, but it does feel like for Prenton Park it's going to be a while until you got four stands, cheering the team on. I mean, obviously, Prenton Park, I think it's a bigger capacity than Meadow Park. I think you got, is it five figures? So for this season, two big coups. You beat Man United, thank you very much. But you also beat us. But you did get battered, sadly, away at Chelsea and away at Man City. I think at the moment, I haven't looked at the table, I think, are you tied with Man United at the moment? Is it on points or there or thereabouts? Where do you see Liverpool finishing this season? Is Europe out too far out of the question, or is it you're just looking for maybe like a high table finish?
I think I would like us to kind of be the best of the rest. You get your usual top four. I don't think we can expect to be cracking into that anytime soon, but I think we can be. I think we can come fifth, definitely, from what I've seen from us this season.
We are fifth at the moment, so
yeah, I think we can maintain that definitely, because our away form has improved. That was what really let us down last year. But to get those two big wins, and obviously we've been battered twice, but that happens. You go away to big teams with massive budgets and great players, and you do get hammered sometimes. That's just how it is, especially because we're now playing a lot more attacking, where we play from the back. And obviously against Man City, that did not pan out very well at all.
I thought you got a really good opening goal, and I thought that's fantastic. Was it Taylor Hines? Was it?
Taylor Hines, yeah.
Brilliant chip over Kara Keating, and I was like, "Oh, this is fantastic." And I think about 3 minutes later, there's a mistake at the back, and then suddenly Bunny Shaw's got a hat trick, and it's all fallen apart, and it was just head in hands moment. But I should say, last season at home, beat Man City, beat Chelsea, and this season you've beaten Man United and beaten Arsenal away. I think there is a growing team there. It's one of those teams I remember on the men's side in the Premier League. You had this higher order, and then there's always those sticky, annoying. I think like the Bolton Wanderers, the Blackburn Rovers, sort of like 2005, 2006, that you knew will always give you a tough game because of just the way they played as a unit, as a team. They were stronger as a team than the sum of their parts. Very well managed, very well coached, very well drilled, and you knew if you weren't on your game, they would pull the rug from under you. And I can see Liverpool becoming that sort of team, which is great for the WSL, because we don't want it to be a closed shop upstairs. We want to make sure that every team challenges us, and we don't see the 11-1 batterings we had against Bristol City a few years ago. So this, it's great to see Liverpool back, and great to see them, punching upwards, taking a few scalps, and if they can break into the top three and get, bring European football to the club in the long term. We know Anfield has a lot of illustrious history when it comes to Europe, and it'd be great to see that on the women's side. So fair play to them. I'm going to do a quick pop quiz. Obviously, Arsenal coming up to Liverpool's home. For the pair of you, how many times have Liverpool beaten Arsenal at home in the WSL? Matt, I'm going to come to you first.
I am going to go with 4.
Liverpool have beaten Arsenal 4 times at home. Okay, Daisy, have you got an answer?
I'll have to go more, don't I? I'll say 6.
6. The answer is none. In fact, every time Arsenal have come to Liverpool's ground, they have won every time. Liverpool have not taken a single point from home against Arsenal. However, they have won at Arsenal. Won at Arsenal plenty of times. 4 games spring to mind, and a 4-4 draw at the Hive during the spring series. So this is a crazy thing that they've done their business, sadly, at Meadow Park and at Emirates Stadium as well. But yeah, this is a game. This has been a happy hunting ground for Arsenal down the years. I don't think it will be so happy this time around. However, last time out, but we should say, obviously, last time at Emirates Stadium, we did sort of touch on it. Obviously, Miri Taylor with the only goal of the game. Arsenal defensively, too defensive, not enough attacking flair. And as you say, Daisy, Liverpool were amazing. Our last trip to Prenton Park, Matt, one of your favourite players, scored a rather good goal, didn't she?
Yes. To be fair, there have been times last season where it was my first game and they've scored. So, or I've been at the game where they've scored. So I'll take the Man United game just later down the line. That was the first time Laura Weinreiter scored for Arsenal. But Leo Volti to be able to score, actually, oddly enough, this is the first time she's managed to score in consecutive seasons at least one goal. So, yeah, it was a really good goal. But we're no stranger to scoring wonders at Prenton Park. Look
Yeah,
at not Caelan Ford. Kim Little
yeah.
scored a couple of dinks over
No, you're
goalkeepers.
right. FA Cup, Caelan Ford and Katie McCabe both scored worldies in that
I was
4-0
just
win.
coming. I was just coming up
Yeah,
to Katie's zinger in the top
Thunder
corner.
Blaster.
That was a lovely free, a lovely corner and a lovely routine. Just
Mm.
no thoughts in it. Just I'm going to hit this and it goes straight into the top corner.
So yeah, I think one of the cracking games, there was a 5-3 win a few years ago. I think it was 2016. I think it was. Where the likes of Chloe Kelly was scoring for Arsenal, and I think Shanice van der Sanden was scoring for Liverpool as well. Obviously, Shanice is back with Liverpool. Which brings me on to my question to you, Daisy. What can Arsenal expect? Who are the dangers that Liverpool can offer? And who should I be fearing when I sit in the cowshed, as I believe it's called?
Well, weirdly, Taylor Hines is on a bit of a scoring run, which I don't think anyone saw coming. But yeah, she scored against Man City and Man United now. So I mean, she's a brilliant player. So I'd be worried about her anyway, if not usually a scorer. But the wing backs are a real strength of ours. I think Koivisto, and the three at the back. Grace Fisk has been unbelievable for us since she's come from West Ham. I'm really surprised they let her go. And I think Fuka Nagano in the midfield, again, not a goal scorer, but I think she's massively underrated. I think she could do a job at any team in the league. I think she showed what level she's at during the World Cup with Japan. And I think we're really lucky to have her. So, yeah.
Is Missy Kearns is still at the club? I think she scored against Man City. I remember seeing, I think Man City last season. Is she likely to be starting for this one as well?
She might be, because Kerry Holland hasn't been fit recently, so she might be starting in midfield, but she is actually more of an off the bench kind of player. Sometimes she rotates into the starting 11, but yeah, she's very popular.
Excellent, and I think the Van der Sanden's a bench option as well. She seems to, she offers that pace off the bench. I mean, she's obviously towards in twilight sort of era of her career, I think we probably say, but she's a very, very talented player. Lyon, won the Europe with there and won the Euros obviously with the Netherlands. I think this will be. I said before, our track record going into this game, but I do think this is going to be a tough one. I think this is, for what I would say for Arsenal, is a proper away fixture. I think this is going to be a proper tussle. I'm really looking forward to it. So with that in mind, as we always do with this, we'll go through the sort of teams back to front. We'll start with Arsenal, obviously. I think Manu will be in goal for us. I think Sabs has played the cup tie, and he did have a bit of a wobble near the halfway line. And I thought, yeah, that's why Manu's in goal for us. But we should say, speaking of wobbles, on the Liverpool side, the name escapes me, but your keeper did have a few against Man City trying to play out from the back. Was that is she your first choice keeper for Liverpool?
She's recently become our first choice. Tegan Micah, we got her in the summer, and she's replaced Rachel Laws.
So was Laws in? Who was Micah in goal when they came to the Emirates Stadium as well?
No, Laws for the start of the season. Laws was the starter.
Yeah, because I remember her making a really good save against Beatty at 0-0, and that I thought that was the moment. So this obviously she gave us a new goalkeeper. I've sort of maybe set the question up because I said she playing out from the back. Man City did pick her off a bit, but maybe that aside, how has she settled in at the club?
She's only had a few games, but I think she's impressed. I think the main thing was that Rachel Laws is a brilliant keeper, but she's very old school, so she likes a hoof, whereas Micah is more confident to play it short to the centre backs. Obviously, Man City wasn't her best game, but she's made a couple of great saves in the games before.
Yeah,
so I'm pretty confident that she'll be okay.
Actually, we should say she did make. I mean, it was all that attack from Man City, and those areas aside, she did make some good saves as well. I'm just thinking, we know that Jonas Eidevall likes a high press. He maybe identified that the progression of the ball from goalkeeper to defence, maybe somewhere he can put the likes of Rousseau and Beth Mead on and force a press on there, maybe get some joy. Defensively, obviously you mentioned a back three / sort of 5 Grace Fisk and the wing backs. Matt, from our side, I mean, it's going to be obviously the back four. How do you imagine we'll line up? Obviously, Lottie was out for the midweek game. Illicet came off the bench. Could we see Leah Williamson back, or is this a bit too soon?
I still think it's too soon for her. I think the way we've done it with Viv compared to Beth, obviously a bit of a different character because she wants to be back as quickly as possible. So
yeah,
whereas Viv was no rush, I think Leah would have been very similar lines of as Viv. She'll make sure that she's ready when she's ready. If she comes, the fact that she played, I don't know how many minutes it was in the end. She came on, I think it was just under 20.
Yeah, I think it was, yeah.
So just goes to show that she is going to she's taking this seriously. She doesn't want to aggravate the opportunities or the chance that it could happen again. So just slowly building on it. So 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I imagine she's going to be a substitute for this one. So I'm guessing we're going to go with the usual back line of Manu in goal, Steph Catley as left back, and Lottie and Amanda as our centre back pairing, and then we're going to have Emily Fox playing as right back.
Indeed. I was going to say we're going to just move on to attack a bit because Vivian Miedema does love a goal against Liverpool. We should say a little bit of sort of WSL trivia. Liverpool is the only team Miedema has taken a penalty against in the WSL, in the entire Arsenal career. It was saved, obviously, but she tucked home the rebound. So her no penalty goal record remains intact, which is rather incredible. I wonder do you think Miedema will start for this one, Matt? Maybe as he did against Everton, build that Russo partnership up?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're going to see I think we'll probably see the similar side that we saw against Everton. I don't think there'll be any changes needed and necessary. I mean, Leah Valsey was actually in the crowd for the game against Reading, so I imagine.
I know we were singing up to her, asking what the score was. Her, Veenreuther, and Jodie Taylor, and Kayla McKess was also there as well.
You can hear that back on the Arsenal.
I know. Just as Stina's knocking in the sixth goal, because we missed it. We turned around and we were asking all of them, "What's the score?" And they're all putting their fingers up. We turned around and Stina's tapped in the sixth goal. Well, where did that happen? Turns out, actually, as we sort of talk about defensive gaps, it was a short back pass and Stina nipped in, showing real good awareness there to steal in. Daisy, I was going to say. I was going to
say that's the only question now because Stina's now scored the hat trick.
Does she start?
Does she start? If I'm honest, I would love for her to start because a lot of people are very much pro Alessia Russo, and at this moment of time, I'd probably say she probably needs a little bit of a break and see how she does coming on.
I'd be interested to see if maybe Stina, if he does reward Stina for the hat trick. She has scored against. Well, she scored at Liverpool at Meadow Park last season, so she could maybe chip in. Daisy, for you, how do you think your attack will line up for the game?
Well, I'm assuming Sophie Roman-Haag's going to be leading the line, especially now that Flint's gone. There's a possibility that we see people like Van der Sanden or Enderby off the bench. They've got a lot of pace. I'll be interested to see if Mel Lawley as well gets a start. I think she's a really good player.
Just on of interest, because it's something we sort of discussed with a lot of other managers, is Matt Beard one to rotate a lot, or is he very much, this is my starting 11 and I'm going to, thinking of, let's say, managers of certain clubs who play for Manchester who just like to play the same team over and over again. Is Matt Beard that manager, or does he rotate around and give everybody a fair crack at it?
He does little bits of rotation, maybe like one player per starting 11, nothing major. We do have a very set format, but in attack, I would say maybe one player each time will switch around.
Excellent. Another one I was going to say on our midfield, Matt, I'll just quick come to you. Kim Little, obviously back from injury as well. Wasn't obviously the big injury that Leah Williamson had. Could we maybe see a return to the starting 11 for her? Because I feel we've missed her from the midfield, what she offers.
Yes, but because of the double pivot that we've got at the moment with Vic and Leah, it works. So
Well, he has been playing Kim at the 10. He hasn't been playing her. When Palova's been fit, it's been Kim at the 10 and then Palova and Velty. So would you maybe...
That's then the puzzle. Then where do you put Viv? Because if you put Viv in the 10, it wouldn't really work. So I just think at this moment in time, I think again similar thing. I don't think Kim doesn't want to rush herself either. So I imagine that she'll probably come on around the half-hour mark.
Yeah. So as a bench option.
Yeah.
No, I could definitely see that. And yeah, I would say I think that Arsenal-wise, we got the likes of Beth Mead on the wings, Caitlin Ford, who's now back in form, scoring goals. That's 2 in 2 now from her, which is good to see. And then you got choice of Stina or Russo up front, and we haven't even mentioned Katie McCabe, who was obviously captain last night. Will this be the game she finally gets a rest? She played right back last night, the other night rather. So yeah, hopefully maybe she get a rest. Maybe he'll start her at right back. We shall wait and see. Before we went to score predictions, I'm just going to quickly ask you, it's just an off the cuff one, but what's been your favourite goal in this fixture? Days, I'll come to you in this Arsenal Liverpool. What's been your favourite Arsenal Liverpool goal? Could be for other teams.
It's going to be a bit of an obvious one, but I really enjoyed Miri Taylor's winner.
At Everton, at the Emirates, yeah.
Yeah, just purely because being in the away end at the Emirates was pretty wild, actually.
Matt, do you have a favourite?
I think I've already mentioned it, but
the Velty one.
No, actually, I'm going to say the Katie McCabe wonder strike.
Fair enough. I'm going to throw a few out there. People, it's worth watching back if you can. When Liverpool won at Arsenal 2-1, Arsenal took the lead. I think it was a Farrell Williams takes a punt from range, wicked deflection, loops in. Liverpool equalised, which I can only describe as a brilliant hooked volley from Van der Sanden. Balls across over her shoulder, and she managed to hit the ball in. Brilliant technique to score that one. From an Arsenal perspective, there was a game when we won the league. I think we won 5-1. Beth Mead scores a crot, which was pretty good. But the pick of the goals was Miedemar runs through, goalkeeper comes out, and she just simply sort of shimmies with the ball, leaves everybody on the floor, and then just flicks the ball over the goalkeeper and into the net. It's a superb bit of technique. And I think, because it's not a recent goal, it may easily get forgotten, but it was one of the goals on the way for us winning the league in 2019, so worth watching back. But I do agree, the Katie McCabe Thunder Blaster, superb.
I think you have a lot more goals to choose from than I do.
Well, unfortunately, I've been watching back highlights of a lot of these games. So you go back and think, oh crikey, that was a good one. It's sort of been forgotten to the mists of time, but it is a game that delivers goals. I said there was a 4-4 draw at the Hive during the spring series, which is just madness. I mean, 4-4 draws, Arsenal, Liverpool. You never see that happen ever. So quickly for the pair of you, a quick score prediction. Daisy, how are you seeing this one fall?
I'll go positive and I'll say 1-1. I think that's the best that I can personally hope for.
Wow. Oh, if you're going to say 1-1, who's scoring for Liverpool?
Oh, I'll say Roman Haag.
Roman Haag. Okay, Matt, can we get a score from you?
I was going to say 2-1 to Arsenal.
2-1. Okay, 2-1 to Arsenal. I'm gonna go 3-1 Arsenal. I do think that Liverpool will score. We have this nasty habit of conceding a lot of not a lot of goals, but conceding goals from rare opportunities. We'll give the opposition one opportunity and they'll score from it, as we saw at the Emirates and obviously saw against Everton the other weekend and plenty of other fixtures. Opponents seem to have a high conversion rate from minimal chances, and then we'll have 30 chances and only score 1 goal. So I struggle to see us maybe keeping a clean sheet, but it would be nice. We did there last season. Looking ahead to the rest of the weekend, there are some big fixtures coming out, and I think one that's maybe going under the radar slightly because everyone's focusing at the top end of the table. Bristol City are at home to West Ham United. This is the bottom 2 of the table. I was just going to maybe tap in your thoughts on it. I'll go start with you, Daisy. Your thoughts and maybe predictions on 2 teams. Certainly West Ham, we can probably say, is disappointed this season. But they looked okay when I know they lost to Spurs in probably one of the games of the season, and obviously got Kirsty Mira. So how do you see that one going?
I would probably lean towards West Ham, to be honest. I think it's the difference between Bristol are kind of where you'd expect them to be, whereas West Ham have been underachieving, and I just think there must come a time when they get a few points on the board, because their squad is better than Bristol's, from where I see it, although I do love Rachel Finesse at Bristol, who is...
Well, yeah, I was going to say Rachel Finesse because she scored against us at Bristol. Very good header. And I think, memory, this is me scratching way back in time, but I think when it was the last game, I think, before lockdown, I think she scored at Prenton Park against us as well. I think it was just about 2-2. I know she's, a legend of the game. And Bristol City, we should just announce, have just signed Lisa Evans, ex-Gunner. Lisa Evans has moved to Bristol. And she's very talented winger for Scotland. Was very good for us during our title winning season, and Bristol will obviously hoping that she can add a bit of quality to help keep the team up. Matt, quick word. Do you any hope for Bristol?
I think this one helps actually with the fact with Lisa Evans as well, because they needed a little bit more experience in the side. They're getting that now.
And she's going to be up against her former employers.
Yeah. Oddly enough, it was by mutual termination. You're not hearing that very much anymore.
No.
But the fact is that I think that Bristol needed a couple more bodies in. Obviously, been a bit unlucky with the goalkeeping situation, but now they've got another goalkeeper in. I think, if anything, if they don't add another couple of people in, experience-wise, I think they're going to struggle. But I don't think they'll be sad that they get relegated if they do. They'll see it as a learning curve, and then I hope to bounce back at the first opportunity the next season. But I would like to see relegation and title go down to the wire this season, instead of it just being. I remember when Birmingham went down because they lost to Man City when we were playing in the North London Derby 2 seasons ago. And Reading were relegated with it. I think it was like 3 games to go. So it would be quite nice to have like a 3 or 4 games that everyone's looking at on the final day, and it feel like it's last game of the season, and there's so much to play for, Champions League spots, etc. I don't want it to be so closed off that it has been over the past season. It's
certainly close now, and we'll see. If this game's a draw, it's going to go all the way. But you think, Bristol, I think, beat West Ham early in the season. If they could get another win, that would give us a lot of confidence. And they are the home team. Sticking with you, Matt, we'll obviously highlight Everton. They're at home to Leicester. Everton gave a pretty good account for themselves last weekend against Arsenal. Obviously, they lost, but they managed to stay in the game, and maybe could have got a point if it wasn't for Stina's intervention. How do you see this one going? Because Leicester have actually, if you look at the table, they've tailed off really badly. They're no winning 5. They're actually below Everton in the table. They are 10th. Could Everton, kick on and push a bit further ahead?
I would think so. I think obviously with Willie Kirk being the former Everton manager, he originally had their name and number because a lot of those players had played under him. Now it's gone on the other foot. I think Everton are actually playing really well, and they're doing everything their own way. They're not being so restrictive on how they play. They want to play one way, and they'll carry on doing it very what's the word I'm looking for?
Consistently?
Consistently is probably the best way to probably describe it. So at Walton Hill Park, it's always a 50-50 game whenever they play there, because you don't know whether or not they're going to actually turn up. Or I remember going to Chelsea and they just didn't turn up, and Chelsea just turned them over. And it was 3-0. Chelsea winning 3-0 on the day. But you'd hope that Everton have a lot of confidence from that game, as well as winning in the FA Cup against Aston Villa as well. So fingers crossed, they're on a bit of a run at the moment, and hopefully they can get themselves up on the table.
I'll come to you this one, Daisy, purely because from a rivalry perspective. But Manchester United versus Aston Villa. Mark Skinner's under a bit of pressure at the moment, and it's showing in the press conferences because he's dropping some absolute pearlers every single time. I really hope they keep interviewing him, talking the way he was trying to say, "Oh, I hope we stay in the competition because we work so hard." And he's thinking, "Yeah, but this is nothing. This is a thing that has no bearing on Manchester United. This is the incident with Noah Maritz and Sunderland." And trying to justify, we are playing well. We are losing, but we are playing well. I mean, they lost obviously to Man City in the Conti Cup, lost to Chelsea in the league, and you mentioned about not turning up. Man United didn't bother turning up for like the first 30 minutes or so, which I thought was astonishing, and even then maybe could have scraped something. So from a Liverpool perspective, how deep is the rivalry with Manchester United? Has it carried over from the men's side? Because from looking down from the south, I understand that is the big rivalry. It's Liverpool and Man United. Has the rivalry gone from the men's team to the women's team, or is it not as hated?
I would say it's not quite as much as the men's team, but I think purely on the pitch, I don't think the players see each other as rivals because we've never been at the same point in our journeys. When they were getting good, we were getting bad again, and we've never kind of had that equal kind of rivalry. But fans definitely still don't like each other. I can say from my perspective that I hate Man United more than any other team.
We feel the same. We feel the same.
But and judging by the chants going on Lee Sports Village, they're not massive fans of us either. So I think there is definitely still a rivalry there.
Do you think that this will be? We'll get on to the Villa game against Man United, but could you see a Man United game at Anfield, Man United women's game at Anfield, like soon? Because I think that would be a very charged game, especially if Man United, whilst maybe not being at the levels of Arsenal and Man City in terms of consistent top three and maybe winning titles, I've got a very decent team and could probably have a very decent game. Could you see that game being at Anfield anytime soon?
Yeah, I think because what they'd look at most is what games are going to bring the most people in. Obviously, Everton's good because it's local, so you get fans of both teams in. So I think the next most likely would be either Man United or Arsenal, because Arsenal bring a lot of their own fans, and Man United will bring a lot of Liverpool fans because everyone hates Man United. So that would be the next best thing, I think.
I don't know because I haven't really followed, but have Liverpool played at Old Trafford yet at all, or has it always been at the Lee Sports Village? Okay, well that would be the other one, wouldn't it? Play at Old Trafford, really build upon that rivalry, because that again, like with Arsenal can say with having Spurs and Chelsea at Emirates Stadium, using that rivalry is a really good pull for the fans, and I think the high attendances really does help the players as well, especially when you're beating Chelsea 4-1 at Emirates Stadium. As for the game, obviously it's now got because of the Noah Maritz Cup tie thing, it's now got an extra edge because Aston Villa have potentially taken Man United out with them in terms of Conti Cup wise, so the game's got a slight edge. How do you see this one going? Obviously Villa have been a bit of a disappointment this season, but have the talent.
Sorry, go on, Daisy.
Daisy, I was going to Daisy. Obviously,
I don't think Aston Villa have enough, unfortunately. As much as I'd want them to, they've disappointed me a little bit this season. Obviously, so have Man United, but I think not disappointed me. Yeah, but I think as a team, I can't really see Man United dropping even more points. I think they'll have to bounce back. They'll have to show that they're a quality team, and I think this is the game to do it, really.
We should say, obviously, there was the 3-strike rule, and Man United, thanks to your good selves, have already lost to Liverpool, Man City, and Chelsea, which usually means that you can't win the WSL. As things stand, they are 7 points behind Arsenal. And if they could lose to Aston Villa, that would be very much welcome, because that would just stretch that void even more. 2 other quick games to go over. Spurs at home to Man City. Matt, I mean, Spurs are they good now, or are they just better than last season? I mean, could they do one on Man City?
I would probably say that they've learnt their lessons from last season, nearly getting relegated, and just they did the logical thing, going, we need a striker. Who's available? Beth England's available. Let's go and get her. It's not going to cost us so much. And they managed to save themselves. And then they thought, right, okay, let's bring ourselves a backup striker. They went and got a Martha Thomas, and she's also been helping banging in the goals, and so they've just been adding to it. I mean, the fact that they've managed to bring in huge talents like Charlie Grant, you wouldn't think that they would really fit in Tottenham, but they managed to bring them in, and it's one of those things that perhaps London becomes also a factor in where players choose from. But if I was to look at Tottenham, Man City, how Man City played against Liverpool last weekend at the Academy Stadium, or I was now called something else.
Joy Stadium, yeah.
Not really a fan of that because most of the time it's raining in Manchester. It's not much.
And there's no joy. There's no joy there at all.
Yes, but I just think every time you look at Man City this season, the answer seems to be Bunny Shaw, Chloe Kelly to Bunny Shaw. If you
head to Bunny Shaw,
no, it is literally Chloe Kelly to Bunny Shaw. That is the link. It's if you look, so many times that I was looking at the game, Lauren Hemp was getting frustrated. Time and time again.
She has now recently entered into the Olympic gymnastic teams. We should say that Hemp has a new trade there. Yes, but there's a lot of cross to Bunny Shaw and hope she heads it in, or someone else. It's a very it's Taylor ball. It's just whip the balls in and Bunny Shaw will do something. Of course, Kels. And unfortunately, in the case of Liverpool, that happened quite a lot, and it is very one-dimensional. And I said, if you neutralise the wingers, if you put a defender on Bunny Shaw and you neutralise Kelly and Hemp, you wipe out the entire team. And on a side note, I believe Castellanos from Man City, that move has happened. She has or is departing the club. That is on the go. So sadly, did not work out for her there. I can't back. I'm an Arsenal fan. I cannot support a Spurs win. This is awful.
Just say a draw. So then best of both worlds, isn't it? Because
absolutely. We should say at the moment, Spurs, Liverpool, and Man United are all tied on 18 points. So there's a lot of conflicting feelings going on here with this one. Lastly, I'll give us one to you, Daisy. This is a Saturday game, which I think is fascinating. Chelsea, of course, 3 points ahead of Man City. They've just signed the new striker Ramirez. They have to travel to Brighton. Who I think I thought was going to be a bit like what Liverpool at the moment, a bit of a surprise package, but they've sort of been a bit up and down. They got a really good win at Man City, got a really good draw at home to Man United, and I thought they were going to be really chased down the top three. Hasn't really happened. Is there any hope for Brighton in this one?
I would say no, probably. I mean, you never know in football. They have got a couple big results this season, but I feel like almost that makes it less likely to happen. I know that's not how it works, but it feels like they've had their big results this season, and Chelsea are a bit of a machine, especially when it comes to this part of the season. I think they just tend to really kick on in the second half, and especially with Man City breathing down their necks and with that statement win, I think Chelsea will probably win comfortably.
Yeah, I mean, if they do lose that game, Chelsea do, it does open the door. If they win the game, go 6 points clear, suddenly it's all on Man City and Arsenal to step up. And if both of them flounder, you'd say at this point of the season, that's the title wrapped up. 6 point gap, Chelsea banging form, it will just be a procession. So I do hope Brighton can get something, even if it's a point. Historically, it has been a bit of a sticky ground for Chelsea in the past. They have dropped some silly points there. I remember I think Brighton are actually the last team to win away at Chelsea. No one else has done it since. So maybe there's hope, and they have got the likes of Vicky Losada, Pauline Bremer. There's actually some talent there. So we'll see if they can pull a rabbit out of the hat and maybe help us along. But that's it. That's it of the preview. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in, listening in, watching in. Hitting that subscribe button and following us along. It's very much appreciated. Just leaves me to ask my fellow co-conspirators to tell us, where can we find you in the wacky wild west of social media? Daisy, I'll come to you first.
Not very many places, I'd say, but
all right.
I'm at Daisy Ruddock on all platforms. But yeah, I don't have a massive social media presence right now.
Are you a watcher rather than a writer? So we say you observe, but fair enough. Matt, where can we find you?
You can find me at MattLR28, or you can also find us on the VAW Pod
Absolutely. Do keep an eye out for the on the VAW pod for all the updates of all the pods coming up, all the news you'll need. If you want to follow the nonsense, I do on Twitter /X, however it's called nowadays. It's at AdamSalter4, and do keep an eye out at Sporting Her for the writings that I occasionally do for the Arsenal, and I believe Daisy, you do occasionally contribute as well, which is very much appreciated. So do keep an eye out for those. But that's it. That's the end of the show. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. Obviously, as we've got a mixed house tonight, it'd be rude of me to just say, "Come on, you Gunners," but I just given present company. But I do say I hope the game is terrific. I hope both teams bring forward a good a crowd for the game. Live 4:30 on Sky, so do make sure if you can't go to the game, you tune in. It should be a cracker. But take care, everyone, and have a great weekend.
Thank you. See you later.